Paving, the grant includes not only Church Street, but also the block of West Third from Church to South Ridgewood. During a committee meeting, I think it was several months ago, question was asked, I don't remember if it was from the public or perhaps one of the council members, about the feasibility of putting a bike lane on Church Street. So from that committee discussion, I was authorized to put together some concepts, which you see before you here. What is on these boards is just a large size printout of what I'm sure you've all seen online, because I know that these things are posted. Right now, I've just left them on the main, shall we say, the sheet with the most changes between the two concepts. So on your left is the shared route concept 1, and on your right is the formal bike lane concept 2. Most of the other sheets are frankly the same. So just to
Ready, stand up.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, so all I was doing was giving a summary of how we got here to do these concepts. Just some basic rules, because I know I did get some questions via email about how these designs go. So anything that we do has to be done according to state and federal regulations. There's various design guidelines that we use, NJDOT, federal MUTCD, AASHTO, there's a whole bunch of different ones. Everything we do has to be done in accordance with those. So basically, me looking at feasibility of these is looking at, is it feasible to be done within the regulations? Secondly, because this project is local aid funded, DOT will review the plans before they go out to bid. So that's kind of a peer review on my design, is they look at it and they make sure that everything complies with the regulations. All right, so for concept 1, what we did was we did roadway sharrows from West Third all the way down to Church Street, and then from Church Street down to South Orange Avenue. Now the sharrows, you've probably seen them driving around. They're basically the little arrows in the road, just as you see on the plan there. What we have on this plan is an exact matching duplicate of what the greenway south of West Third will look like. So when we're doing the Greenway project, which has finally been awarded, the driveway of New Waterlands Park is going to have the same exact double sharrow design going toward the back, going towards south. Sharrows are there really to highlight the presence of bikes when you're expecting a lot of bikes, like you're having a greenway. They kind of just reinforce the actual law. I mean, obviously bikes and cars are supposed to share the road anyway. Drivers tend to ignore that, but because drivers tend to ignore that, when you know you're going to have high bike traffic, you try to do this. So that's the sharrows. And then at Church and West Third, we would have pedestrian bump outs, which would provide some daylighting for the actual walking pedestrians. Now, the differences, that what I just said goes for basically both projects on West Third. Differences come in on Church Street. So in order for us to do a formal bike lane on Church Street, we do not have enough width for that. What you have right now is, as you all know, a northbound lane, a southbound lane, and a parking lane. You're 27 feet wide. I need 10-foot minimum for a lane. I need 10-foot minimum for a 2-way bike lane. And I need 7-foot minimum for a parking lane, and we have to have a parking lane. So the differences are the parking lane, which is now on the east side of Church, would have to move to the west side. The southbound lane would be closed with a pedestrian bump out, as you see there near the NJ Transit driveway. That allows the northbound lane to continue straight through, and it allows the southbound lane to be physically blocked, so we don't have to be concerned about southbound drivers riding into the parking lane. And then it allows the bike lane to take up the other 10 feet along the east curb on the east side, where of course the greenway connections are on the east side, takes up that space. There would still be bump outs at Church and West Third. They would just move to the other side because the parking is moving to the other side. Oh, and the northern 200 feet or so of Church Street would have to be wide. The curb would have to be widened there because I need 10 feet for a lane, 10 feet for another lane, 10 feet for the bike lane. So that's the main difference, is really right there as you see on that sheet. So from a purely engineering perspective, as I said earlier, I'm supposed to look at things in terms of what's feasible. Both of these designs are feasible according to the regulations. They both improve pedestrian safety. They both cost roughly the same. There's a little bit more curb work on Church Street with the bike route concept, but we're replacing all the curbs on Church Street anyway. So it's not really that big of a deal price wise. There are other things for me to consider though. So we just started engaging in a Safe Streets for All plan, which will prepare a village-wide bike plan. Now, from my perspective, a village-wide bike plan is going to give me the opportunity to not have to do this on a case-by-case basis, but to have a town-wide planning document that will help me with all of my designs. We are in the midst of doing a traffic signal warrant analysis at West Third and South Ridgewood, which they actually just collected the data today and will be giving us a report shortly. I know that there's a lot of planned development in this area, which are gonna, impact traffic. Especially along the actual route of the east branch of the Rahway, where we would like to have the greenway. This concept was designed as kind of a temporary replacement to connect the greenway. Once all of that development is done, returning this back to two-way would cost money. Concept 2 also reduces your parking by about 6 spaces. And parking is a premium on this road, I think, as we all know. Concept 1 improves pedestrian safety, maintains all the existing traffic patterns and parking, and it just serves as a temporary connection for the greenway until everything else is built. So in being asked to give a recommendation, I've actually advised administration that I believe concept 1 is the best of these things. Now I'm open for questions.
Well, no.
Oh, that's at the end. Sorry. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you so much for sharing that. We are going to move just to Council Member Hoskins, and we're going to talk about River Greenway Phase 3, Meadowland Park to Waterland Parkway connectivity, and the Church Street options.
Okay.
And
Yeah, you
can you share the
yeah, and then
wherever you want?
I just got, you guys just stick it
Yeah,
there.
just
It's
the
got a
top,
little
that's
stain on
the-
it. Cool.
Can you share those are hard.
The River Greenway, so I just want to give you guys a little bit of background on the River Greenway, and then we'll talk a little more specifically. So, since the early 2000s, yeah,
Would you stand and point to the things on the chart?
okay, I'm not referring.
He's
to the
not gonna
chart.
be able to use the
Yeah.
chart. If you guys want to walk up while he's talking and point to the chart, then that'll be fine.
Okay. Since the early 2000s, South Orange has been working to create a greenway along the east branch of the Rahway River, running from West Montrose Avenue to Maplewood. A greenway is a corridor connecting parks and other open spaces, providing a place for car-free walking, biking, scootering, while also protecting waterways and natural habitat. We completed the first phase of the greenway in 2 parts in Meadowland Park between 2008 and 2014, using $4 million in federal, state, and county funds. The existing greenway, bike, pedestrian path, and bridges run from Meadowbrook Lane past Floods Hill and the South Orange Pool to South Orange Avenue. This construction was based on the River Greenway Master Plan prepared by Roadside and Coral, issued by the Village of South Orange in 2007. The second phase of the project, expected to begin by fall of 2025 or spring of 2026, will complete a path from 3rd Street through Waterlands Park to Chisholwick Field, near the Maplewood border at Parker Avenue. The new bridge will carry the greenway over the river past the DPW yard and the former pump house. We already have raised funding for this project. Phase 3 of the greenway will address the gap between South Orange Avenue and 3rd Street, and Phase 4 will provide pavement striping and signage to create a walk and bike connection to near the border with Orange. We also hope to preserve more land adjacent to the greenway to protect habitat and water quality. So what I've just read to you is not what I've written. It's what's on the South Orange Village website about the River Greenway. And I read that to you to preface our conversation tonight to say that we don't come to Church Street on lightly or on a short amount of thinking. We're thinking and considering bike infrastructure on Church Street as a part of a 2-decade-long conversation our community's had and a 2-decade-long vision we've had about connectivity for bicycling and pedestrian infrastructure through our parks. So, that's why we're here. We don't take this lightly. It's about a long-term goal. So, but right now we're talking about phase 3. So phase 3 is a connection between South Orange Avenue and 3rd Street. This is the middle part. So phase 2 is the Waterlands part that's going to connect us to Maplewood. That project's going to start. It's been funded and it's going to happen. So Meadowland Park is done. So the idea is like, how do we connect these two? And then we have to look at the options of getting from Meadowland to Waterland. Obviously, we all know that the best option is to go right by the river. But we've always said, that's really hard. There's these separate properties there. What happens? How do we do this? How do we negotiate with these entities? Will somebody stop us? So, as Mr. Battaglia referred to, there's also been a lot of talk about development potential in that area. And then at this point, when the developer does some work there, that'll allow some negotiation that'll allow us to pass through at that point. Those kind of projects take a long time. So with phase 2 finishing, people are like, how can we connect this in the interim so we can have a continuous bike network? So other options, Sloan Street, so people would say, Sloan seems complicated. You go through downtown parking, businesses and things like that. So then another option is like, well, maybe Church Street. And then that's why we're having this conversation about the possibility of going on Church Street. So I know a lot of folks in this room have reached out to me. I appreciate all of your input and thoughts. I've read everything and looked at it and gone through like one by one and everything. And we take this seriously. But I do want to say, this community takes very seriously the idea of this greenway and its importance to our community and the connectivity it can provide. So I would say, let's weed through the details as we have individual ideas out there, but let's really focus on our total vision. Let's actually connect these two parts. I know we have plans coming for Safe Streets for All and things like that, and no one's more excited to see them than me, but I know that that plan is going to say to connect these parks. It's going to say that we should ride our bikes from the border of Orange to the border of Maplewood, and then we should ride through Maplewood. So we shouldn't give up on that goal. So, if that means that, we figure out something creative on Church Street, or we have some other creative thinking or of a way that maybe we can do it adjacent to the river at this time, we should give it a try. So I thank Mr. Battaglia for looking into these options and preparing your plans, and for Summer for hosting the meeting, and I look forward to hearing you guys' comments tonight as well. Thank you.
Interesting. Stop screenshots. Okay. Thank you. If anyone wants to look at that after, you can. As you guys know, we've talked about, and I've said it in the Walk Like Ride meetings and other meetings, there is development that is happening around Church. And then the master plan that we adopted in 2021 is about pedestrian safety and creating environments for pedestrian safety. So that is something that also, besides the Greenway, with 20 years, the master plan had been worked on for a very long time before it was adopted in 2021. I'm going to turn this over to Councilwoman Lewis-Chen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I have a little bit of a different slant. I will pick up on connectivity. If you know what I do, I think we are vital to how our town develops. So I want to start with, I want to frame what I'm about to say. I am going to talk about the two projects that will affect your neighborhood.
Please stand.
Okay, you can't hear? Okay. Cities have the capability of providing something for everyone, only because and only when they are created by everyone. And we're in this together. I want to lower the tension between how we've been working in reference to the proposed changes on your street. That's a quote from a woman called Jane Jacobs. And for those people who are in planning and development, you know of her, a visionary and a woman who helped to set how we create and build cities in the 21st and 20th centuries, right? Community, her big idea was that communities, her plan was basically that our plans for how we move forward should be community-based, should be grassroots efforts to plan and revitalize our neighborhoods. And every town, every city, every suburb, residents are best understood when they're heard. And that's what this meeting is really about. So the projects that will impact your neighborhood, the 185 Church Street Development LLC. It has gone before the planning board. It was approved this summer. They're in need of doing some revisions to their plans. And they will go back for some, back to the planning board. And their permits will probably be then issued and they will start. There's no set date as to when that project will start. That project I'm talking about, some of you will know, is at the end of, at the very end, the old building that we used to pay. What did we usse to pay there? We used to pay some, we used to pay a bill. I think we generated some bills out of it.
It's on Third and Church.
Yes,
on the
at the end, the
Yeah.
end of.
Yes.
South Orange disposal.
Yes.
Okay, we're good with that as
Right.
a location.
All right, so you know where it is, a dead end. And that is likely to impact very little traffic because it's at the dead end. And the house next to and the house across, based on what the information I got from planning and development, there will be very little impact to you, the people closer to South Orange Avenue. There will be construction, but the traffic will only be the traffic will be in reference to the people living in that area and the trucks coming in and out. And the neighborhood, the developer has moved to create a very friendly and respectful relationship with the people living at the end of that street. And because I was major, and Jen Greenberg is here from Planning and Development, I was major in asking that question when I was on Planning and Development. What have you done to make sure that the neighborhood understands what you're about to do and to get input from them? So throughout parts of this process, there's been this continuing link to talk to neighbors, right? So that's it, and Julie will expand on that if she needs to later on. There's no date, the traffic issues I talked about, street parking and guest parking. There has been some concern about how people will park at that end of your street. And there was a recommendation for street parking. So that brings up, if we eliminate parking, what's gonna happen, okay? The other project is the third and Jetsby project, and that's under construction presently. For those of you who are in the garden with me, you know that they've eliminated some spots, but then they've created some out in the street spots that at times we've had to use. If you look on the website, www.southorange.org/document center/index 382, you will see some of the plans for these projects, and you should look there. From the PLED, this is what I got from Greer, who is our lead on this. With the density of residents on Third and Church and their reliance on cars, we should be talking about sometimes increasing the availability on street parking. And that would therefore reduce or not, we then would not see dedicated bike lanes. This was Greer's comments on this issue. And of course, I want to round off by saying, Jane Jacobs talked about the death of great American cities. And she talked about the fact that when people don't work together, when they don't see themselves as united in a common cause, American cities die. And we're a thriving, robust community. And I'd like to see us continue to talk to each other, even when we disagree, vehemently disagree, I'd like us to continue to talk together. Because the goal here is to create neighborhoods that are vibrant, that work. She has this famous phrase, eyes on the streets, for those people who know Jane Jacobs. And it talks about the presence of people on streets and in neighborhoods. And we know that, cars do bring people to streets, but we also are aware of how our environment and our planet is going. So we know that we have to begin to decrease our reliance on cars. So even while we talk today about the fact that we need parking and we need to be sure that we create venues and openings and avenues for you to get in and out of your homes, I also want you to hold together the idea that we have to change. And that when we walk, when we ride, when we drive, we're still trying to stay connected, but we're also trying to survive. And this planet is in trouble. So the work that we're doing in terms of connectivity and in terms of creating bike lanes or not creating bike lanes or creating more parking spaces has to balance how we live here. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That was beautiful. The other project is also the New Jersey Transit parking lot, and then the redevelopment of that, which would have a major effect when it does happen.
You stand?
You can't hear me. I'm only gonna stand if this is a regular meeting, so I'm only gonna stand if you can't hear me. I can get louder. Okay, so if you can hear me, that's the only way that I'm not. Because again, this is a regular meeting. I want to treat it like a regular meeting.
We're regulars.
Okay, so that the New Jersey Transit parking lot and the potential redevelopment of that will have an effect on Church Street completely, right? But right now we are not there, but it is something that is being discussed and talked about. So we're gonna move to our traffic bureau. So we're gonna, Sergeant, okay,
So good evening, everyone.
again, talk louder.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Um,
Oh, I'm gonna introduce Chief Dolanak. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce you.
Hi,
Yeah.
Steve Dolanak, Acting Chief of Police. So the role of the police department in this, when we were asked to evaluate it, really is to provide data and support for engineering and administration. We give information over to our engineer, who then reviews it and incorporates that into his design of this project. So we conduct traffic studies on a regular basis. We post the data on our website. We also conduct an annual crash analysis. Based on the results of these studies that look at volume, time of day, speed, that is what provides our partners with the information they need to then make the decisions that affect you guys directly. The police department, regardless of whichever option comes out of this, we will be conducting our usual activities, which is enforcement and overall safety of the community. So that being said, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Jose Albino. He is in charge of our traffic bureau, and he's directly responsible for the studies and the reports that come out.
All right, so I'm gonna be quick, short, because I know you guys want to get your questions and answers. Also, Chief pretty much covered everything. In traffic, basically, we will provide, you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
We will provide whatever data is needed, and it's real-time data, right? So it's what helps come up with these concepts. Dave needs certain information, we give it to Dave, and Dave takes it from there and creates, what is possible for these things. I know you guys are gonna have questions on how we gather it, and if you have those questions, more than happy to answer that. And just like Chief said, we do post that. We've made a habit to post it on the website. It's on the village site anytime you want to, look at it. Just go on a search screen, type in traffic studies, all of that will come up on. Okay, so that being said, we'll get to that section.
So just to frame everything, based on our most recent traffic study on Church Street, there was approximately a volume of 4,000 cars in a week-long period. This was conducted in March. In a 1 week period, approximately 4,000 cars.
Well, the study said 3 days.
Based on the methodology that we follow and the guidance from the people that design this the study methodology, that's what we use. So it's a 3-day period of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Church Street, not Church Street. West Third shows an approximate volume of 15,000 vehicles in that same study, the same kind of study period. We all know South Orange Avenue is the busiest road in our county. As well as the speed. Sergeant Albedo can speak to the speed of the vehicles, but ultimately, for the police department, looking at that kind of volume, you'd be directing all the vehicles from splitting approximately 50% split of north and southbound traffic to all northbound traffic on Church Street. So this, and in terms of crashes, in approximately the past 2 years, we have not had a motor vehicle crash on the street. Vehicle on vehicle, vehicle pedestrian, or vehicle bicyclist. There have been some other crashes where it's a tall vehicle exiting or entering from one of the parking areas and hitting the roof of the truck on the deck. So no on-street crashes in the last few years. So in terms of safety and everything else, yeah, this is the data that we report to our engineering department, and then that allows them to then craft these plans that you see. And all this data is published on our website, so if you can find it, this is all information that has been available. We'll turn it over.
Okay, so at this time, we are gonna open up public discussion. Again, we are limited to 2 minutes. And we are going to answer, so we're gonna allow a few people to ask a question, and then you'll sit down. And then they'll answer a group of questions depending, maybe there's only one person in this room. I feel like there's more than one person that wants to talk in this room. So we'll do them in bunches. Normally at the council meetings, we answer all the questions at the end, but we're gonna probably do like 5 people will ask questions, and then we'll answer those questions, and then the next 5. So I'm gonna go row by row. I think it'll be easier. Is there anyone in this row that would like to ask?
I'm sorry, and ask them to state your name and address for the record, these minutes are being taken.
Is there anyone in this first row that would like to ask a question or have a discussion item? All right, we're gonna move to the second row. Anyone on the second row? Okay, Mr. Down.
Can I make a comment as opposed to ask a question?
You can
Or
make
is
a
that-
comment.
No.
It's part of your 2 minutes though.
Okay, all right, ready?
And I'm starting my time.
All right, Dave Downs, Renaissance Place, Church Street. The headline here is that both of these have a bike connectivity for the Greenway, and that both of them make bicycling safer, both of them acknowledge bicycling. But one is one way, one is two-way traffic. Let's sum up what we know about concept 2. It makes life worse for 200 residents and another 2,000 passing motorists daily in order to possibly benefit a handful of cyclists occasionally. It adds congestion to South Orange Ave. It traps residents in their homes weekdays 4 to 7. It effectively closes the west exit of the New Jersey Transit lot during evening rush hour. It's a nightmare for dozens of delivery and service providers that must unload on Church Street to do their required jobs. It is more dangerous for pedestrians. It's more expensive to install, albeit not tremendously more. It places cyclists in direct opposition to 25-mile-an-hour oncoming traffic racing to catch a train while navigating down a minimum width bike lane with oncoming bike traffic on their left. The police department appears to favor concept 1. The village engineer recommends concept 1. And on top of this, I don't believe South Orange Village has obtained any traffic data to show the impact of concept 2 on the congestion on South Orange. Does the mayor or anybody on the village council still think option 2 makes sense? And even if you do, why rush to do it now rather than wait until such time as a village-wide bike ride is up and running? Who knows, by then maybe you'll be able to connect the Greenway to the New Jersey Transit line. You have a concept for a bike route connecting the Greenway is on an interim basis right in front of you. Concept 1 is less harmful, less dangerous, less controversial, less wasteful. Choose concept 1, please. Thank you.
I want you guys to clap when I talk. Who's next on the? And.
Questions, if we make a statement.
You can make a statement again.
Okay,
What are you?
Dr. Albert Gottlieb, 9 West South Orange Avenue, Unit 301. I'm a member of Walk Bike Ride South Orange. And I'm a big supporter of biking and walking. I bike longer than most of you have lived. But at this point, I feel it's a negative impact not only to the residents of Church Street, but to commuters. If you're a bicyclist, you do not use Church Street when you commute. You come in through Sloane Street. And so it's going to impact mostly the drivers. And if you really want people to use public transportation, you really want to make sure that that lot is open and so people can get to their trains. Okay, so I really appreciate what our engineer did, but to make Church Street one way is just, it's not safe because bicyclists will not be able to, I wouldn't bike with cars coming right next to me going the opposite direction. I would be scared out of my wits. Especially if they veer, if someone comes off and they veer and hit into that lane. So really, it's not safe that way. So I support, even though I'm on the committee and I
Keep it up
really
to
want
2 minutes,
bikes
Mr.
and
Dowd.
I've been biking for years and decades, I feel that option 1 is the way to go.
Thank you. Anyone else on?
Janet Painter. I own a condo on Church Street. I don't live there. I work with developers who converted condos and also the 3141. I'm on Church Street a lot, still. And I like Jane Jacobs and her mixed use also. But my concern is not, besides traffic, if someone's running for the train now, and with regards to when you started this was a while ago. How about electric? There's a lot more electric bikes and electric scooters. And I think there's much more chance of a hazard or an accident. And wondered if you considered, I know where the Muse parking lot, there's a street that goes there and then there's a parking lot. I don't know where it comes out on the other side. But was that considered? Is that something you could consider going that direction?
Is there anyone else on this row, which includes you, that would like to speak? Okay, all right.
One quick question.
Oh, yeah.
Alexis Chapin, and I'm at 3141 Church Street. And I absolutely agree with it. Proposal 1 is the way to go. But I also directly, I have had problems crossing the street since I moved here. Particularly because of I know there has to be a line of parked cars, but I've almost been death several times, and I've seen children, other people. Is there any chance? What would I have to do to get a crosswalk in the middle of the street? Because there's so much people racing to catch trains, and the cars are racing at the same time. Has there been any discussion? I know we're talking about bikes, we're talking about cars, but how about pedestrians? Is there a place in our plan for a really well-marked crosswalk in the middle of Church Street so that people on both sides could get across in the middle of the walking? Was that under anybody's question? Has it been?
We're gonna answer questions
Oh, great.
as
Okay.
soon as you
Oh,
finish.
great. Okay, thank you so much.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. All right, so we're gonna close the second row. So there were 2 questions that came out of that. One is, Muse parking lot. Did we consider the Muse parking lot? And again, Church Street is a street that's being redone, but,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I can-
you wanna talk about that? Okay.
So the idea of going through the Muse parking lot is actually option 1. So that would be going along the west side of the Rahway River. And there's 4 properties that would have to be traversed to do that, to get from South Orange Avenue to 3rd Street. And the Muse parking lot property and the Muse property is one of them. The other 3 properties are the property where the Jaspi house is being made. It's actually a South Orange property of a part of how that's organized. The next one coming towards South Orange Avenue is the Muse property. Then the next property is the New Jersey Transit parking lot. So the New Jersey Transit parking lot is owned by them, but it's rented by us for the purpose of parking. So we currently rent the New Jersey Transit parking lot for our use. And then the property closest to South Orange Avenue is the property where the beloved Reservoir Restaurant is right there adjacent to Exxon. So the consideration of going by the Muse, the answer is considered, and it's option number one for sure to go through there. But with those other pieces, it's a tough. So-
So I do want to clarify, because I had this discussion with Mr. Downs, the option one is not option one, it's an alternative. We have concept one and concept two, there's an alternative that is being explored and looked at. Okay, so I don't want to say option one because I had a whole,
And then alternative.
it's not part of these two concepts. I just wanted, I had a whole discussion about option one, option two,
Thank you.
concept one, concept two. So it's concept one, concept two,
We'll
with
introduce
potential
15.
alternative. All right, and then the second question was crosswalks. So I know that there is a crosswalk on this option, but there is not a crosswalk on the other option. Mr.
So,
Plaza-
I can answer to that, and believe it or not, that's kind of what started this whole thing months ago, was Mr. Downs emailing me about a mid-block crosswalk.
I asked.
So mid-block crosswalks are not a preferred option. They are very dangerous. Especially when you're talking about a roadway like this that is so short. You got a crosswalk at West Third, you got a crosswalk at South Orange Avenue. You can walk down either side of the road and get to that crosswalk. So-
The train station, everybody cuts right, there's a sidewalk that.
And
ends in
I-
the Street, and you cross from the sidewalk, right?
And I-
It's right to the street.
And I get that.
Yes, it's there.
If we're to build a mid-block crosswalk, okay, and to be fair, my concept two
Yeah.
does have a mid-block crosswalk. In order for us to build a mid-block crosswalk, it has to be ADA accessible. That staircase going down into the New Jersey Transit parking lot is not ours, it's not ADA accessible. So no matter where I put a mid-block crosswalk, wheelchairs are still going to go down the driveway of NJ Transit. Now, the reason why I was able to, or I felt safe enough, I should say, to put a mid-block crosswalk for option two is I was looking for a way to make sure that southbound traffic, because that section of road is still ostensibly two-way. I don't want southbound traffic to be able to go any farther. I don't want them running into parked cars. I want it to be very clear for them that they're going into oncoming traffic. So that bump out is really to stop the lane. I was able to put the mid-block crossing because I knew there was a request for it. I felt like it was safer because now when you're crossing, you're only crossing one lane of traffic. And obviously it's properly signed and whatnot. So I felt safer doing it in that situation, but on the main concept one, I wouldn't recommend it. Considering the discussion that we've had about parking, remember, you would also lose parking to do a mid-block crosswalk. So, because you'd lose a parking spot on both sides of the road. So that, well, on one side, because you only have parking on one side, but you would lose one parking spot. So it's not something, is it something that can be done? Sure, you can have proper signage and all the advanced warning and all that. But it's still not very
Maybe
safe.
manage somehow to slow the traffic down, and it'd be safer.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, it's not just, lots and lots of people racing the train, people coming from all over, I've seen kids, everybody crosses to get to the train station, and they don't go to the end of the street, and they come back to the train station.
Sure.
Particularly, we've got all those new people that are coming at the end of the block and the dead ends, everybody's gonna be racing to the train.
She had more than her 2 minutes.
I didn't want to be like, I was thinking about it, but I was like, you guys are gonna come for me with pitchforks, I'm gonna. All right, we're fine, it's fine, we noted that, thank you so much. And then, we're gonna move to the next row. Is there anyone in the next row that would like to speak, we're gonna start from this side, or, sir?
Oh, hello, my name is Matt Rudansky. I'm a friend of the residents on Church Street, but I live on Bose Avenue. I've lived in South Orange for 10 years. I walk every day, and as the doctor, I'm an avid biker, but I won't ride my bike in South Orange. I drive all the way west to go to High Bridge to go on the train trail. I'm all excited about this new project. I'm in the garden with the councilwoman, so over the years, I've understood its development and how exciting we're getting there. And from the Councilman Haskins, I hear tonight that this is really just a provisional plan. Do I have that right, Councilman?
It wouldn't go away.
No,
It's not, once it's in, I mean, whatever.
Well, that was my understanding. I just want to go on the record to say that I've been hit, almost hit several times. I know the councilwoman in the village, I'm talking overall. So I come here today as a resident and concerned about the safety of our streets. Every day I go for coffee at a certain time when the South Orange Middle School gets out. And every day, it's a danger for those children to cross South Orange. The idea of bringing more traffic onto South Orange Avenue doesn't seem like a smart idea. I have seen twice, just twice, I don't want to exaggerate, and I'm not gonna go over my 2 minutes.
You have 29 seconds left.
Great. I've seen fire engines come out of the house and try to make a right onto South Orange by the Dunkin' Donuts, where regularly, I'm sure the police department can confirm, many people double park. Maybe it's a little better lately, but the fire engines could not move because of the congestion on the road. And as a citizen, honor thy neighbor, love thy neighbor. It's dangerous what you fight most. Thank you.
Again, we're gonna answer questions at the end, so I'm gonna circle back around to the
Thank you.
provisional. Yes.
Should I stand up? My name is Elise Rothstein. I've been a serious cyclist since.
Can you say where you're, wait,
10 North Ridgewood. So I park in the gravel lot, and I have a personal interest because I'm not sure how I'm gonna get in and out of that if it's one way. But I also wanted to say I've been a serious cyclist since 1970, which I realize is dating me quite a bit. But I'm so pro bike lane, but it has to be safe. Unfortunately, I also have a connection to that young doctor who was killed, Billy. So we know what can happen if a bike lane isn't safe. I think this could be deadly. That's what I wanted to express. So if there's another option and there's still a way to have a great bike lane, I'm so pro bike lane. But I see this being significant potential tragedies. That's it.
okay,
Kelly Craig, I'm 3141 Church Street, president of the Homeowners Association for Renaissance Place. Unanimously, owners and occupiers of that space say they need a two-way street. So a lot of taxpayers on that little block want, ways to get in and out of that place. Personally, I've been here 18 years. And, I've seen Church Street grow a little bit that time. That's great. I also happen to be a member of the church, St. Andrew and Holy Communion. So the things that I see needing to be done on Church Street as a resident and as a parishioner is fix the road. First of all.
that's getting done regardless.
That's it, exactly. The other thing is slow the traffic, because we do see a lot of people use that as an expressway to avoid the other traffic.
Yes.
And like Alexis asked for, can we get a mid-block crossing out of the parking lot? A lot of events happen at St. Andrew, the Holy Communities. We do use SOPAC as an overflow parking. The crossing around there, like in concept 2, would be great. We keep it two-way. So traffic, traffic calms, more pedestrian access is really what
Thank you. Is there anyone else on row 3?
Hi, I'm Lawrence, 54 Church Street. Okay. Close to 10 years living on Church Street. Wondering why the speed limit is 25 miles an hour on a block that is less than 800 feet long. The speeding there is unbelievable at all hours, especially rush hour. People trying to get their child to school on time will race down Church Street. I've almost been hit, but it's really a concern. Is there anything that can be done to slow the traffic down?
Bike lanes.
We're gonna hold.
Thank you so much. We're holding questions until the end again. Mr. Moore, did you have anything or?
Comment. I live over in the West Montrose section. If you've been over there recently, you know, so we have
Oh, sorry, Mr. Moore, can you please state your, I know your name, but can you state your name and address for the
Ed
record?
Moore, 9 East Clark Place, South Orange. As you may know, I've been over in my neighborhood. We have a whole new West Montrose Avenue with bike lanes. Okay? But this process, meeting makes me really happy because we didn't have one of these. We found out through the grapevine that this was happening. And this was all going on, and there was no consulting with it. It started off on a bad foot. I think people seem pleased with what's there now, but I'm very pleased to see this happen.
Thank you.
And also the study to put together a bike map or a bike. So going forward, we can look and say, we've identified this as a good place to put bike lanes.
Thank you so much. Ms. Flack, do you have anything that you would like to say?
I'm Julie Flack, 266 Kitchener Ave, Chair of Walk Bike Ride South Orange. My first question is that the engineer didn't explain why he advised the option with sharrows, so I hope he'll answer that question at some point. Because as an engineer, he probably does know that there's research that from Chicago that shows that streets with sharrows have increased cyclist injury rates, and maybe better off not painting sharrows, and they're generally only recommended to show connectivity between existing bike lanes or bike paths. So in this case, you know, you could see it as appropriate for that reason because it's connecting one part of the greenway to another, but it's not going to do anything to make the road safer for cyclists. And this is really about greenway connectivity and helping kids and families of all ages get around town without cars, looking to the future, reducing our carbon footprint, and making it safer for everyone. Because once the Waterlands phase is done, and if we were to put a bike lane on Church Street, the public would enjoy 1.5 miles of continuous greenway from Maplewood to the north end of Meadowland Park. And Maplewood is also working on plans to extend that down Donnell to the middle school. So there would be a middle school to middle school connection. And unfortunately, the middle schoolers can't be here tonight because South Orange Middle School back to school night is happening right now. So given the proximity to Church Street, I hope that there will be some outreach and connection from the town to here from the middle school community as well. And, you know, I understand the change is hard and that there's a lot of fear that bike lanes make roads more dangerous, but cars are a much bigger danger than bikes. And I asked the town to share the information, but they did not, so I'll say this, that research shows bike lanes make roads safer for all users. It reduces driving speeds, it reduces injury crashes for all users between 40 and 50%. It also reduces vehicle crashes and injury rates. So if you want to slow the traffic down, bike lanes are one of the tools to do that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Black. So there were two questions that came out of that. The one question was speed limits. Is there a reason why the speed limit is 25 miles per hour on that street?
So that is actually not mandated by us or a town. It's actually guided by the laws that direct the roadway. Any municipal roadway, 25 miles an hour, unless it's private, is the absolute minimum that you can put and mandate on there. So that's law.
State law.
Yeah. And that's enforceable. And if you see anything that says other than that, it's not enforceable. Just to throw that out there. I was made aware that speed was a big concern while I was out addressing something else. The speed on those roads, and this is all on the website, posted traffic study for Church, 27 miles an hour one way, 25 miles an hour the other. And that's the 85th percentile, which is what we go by to give us what we need to meet. So the 85th percentile means that's 85% of the vehicles are traversing the roadway at 27 miles an hour in one direction and 25. As the speed limit is 25, you would see that there isn't a speeding, speeding issue there, so to speak. I just wanted to explain that for,
Can you reiterate, because I know a few of us are like, we've driven on roads that say 20 and 15.
Mhm.
So can you just reiterate what you said? Because I heard you when you said it where it's not enforceable.
it's
but
not
can you just-
enforceable. Yeah, it's not enforceable. It's state law, 25 miles an hour. Unless it's a private roadway, right? Then it's a private roadway. You're gonna put what it is. So it's state mandate. It's not anything that the town chose. I want everybody to understand that this isn't the town choosing to make it 25 miles an hour. Okay, it's state in order for it to be enforceable.
So
That's what
again,
I'm
if we
asking.
make it 20, sorry, if we make it 20, we still wouldn't be able to stop anyone until they're over that
You're gonna,
regardless.
we're gonna go, my guys are gonna go 25 and above.
Gotcha.
If you're gonna do
I just
it.
wanted to make sure that, because. with me,
Only
sorry.
because one resident raised what happened in Montclair. I don't know, I think you're aware that Montclair on one or more streets have dropped their speed limit to 20. I don't know that it's enforceable.
It's not
enforceable,
enforceable.
that's what you just said.
Right.
It's not,
Right.
it's not.
So, because I know residents here go through Montclair, and somebody raised that issue, so I just want to bring it up, so you can address that.
You can, the sign would be a yellow sign, if anything. It's almost more like a suggestive, but it's nothing that can be
It's not
enforced.
Okay, but it sounds like it's 27 one way and 25 the next.
Correct.
And then the next question was in regards to sharrows, Mr. Battaglia.
Yeah, so, well, actually, Julia had two questions. She wanted me to, I guess, reiterate why I'm recommending concept
Oh,
one.
sorry, I just.
So,
Good.
concept one, go back to my notes. What I said earlier is concept one improves pedestrian safety, maintains the existing traffic patterns and existing parking while serving as a temporary greenway connection until development between New Waterlands and South Orange Avenue proceeds. So that's basically my reasoning for recommending concept one. It does everything we all want the roadway to do without causing too many problems. Now, in terms of the appropriateness of sharrows on that road, I can read to you from the New Jersey Complete Streets Design Guide. On roadways where it is not feasible or appropriate to provide dedicated bike facilities, shared lane markings, also known as sharrows, may be used to indicate a shared environment for bicycles and automobiles. Shared lane markings should be used to connect and provide designated route to dedicated bicycle facilities, which of course is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to go from Greenway on the south side of West Third to Greenway on the other side of South Orange Avenue. And it also has here in the notes, shared lane markings should only be used on streets with a posted speed of 25 miles per hour or less. So sharrows are perfectly appropriate on Church Street and West Third. They're both 25-mile-an-hour roads.
And then I just wanted to comment on the provisional. The reason why I said it's not provisional is because and we said this at the beginning, we are looking at bike lanes throughout South Orange. There will be a survey that is going to be done. There will be more bike lanes coming up depending on what that survey says. I don't want anyone to think, oh, it's gonna go away as soon as the Greenway comes up. When you look at the survey, it might say it's appropriate for a bike lane to be on this route. So I just wanted to take that out of everyone's mind. It depends on what the survey comes back with, regardless of whether we have another path for the Greenway.
Well, I'm just on.
Okay, I wanted to just
The opening
clarify.
of the Greenway within the year or year and a half, correct?
Wait, repeat that? No, no.
So that's not what we're sure of. And I think when that question came up, like Summer and I looked at each other like with a little bit of a different idea. So where she was like, it's not provisional. And then I was thinking like, I think it is provisional. So that on Third Street, this would be, an option to continue the Greenway through where the first choice would be to go right by the river. So then if the by the river became a reality, then you would go by the river, then you could revisit Church Street, but it would be relative, like someone was saying, to the overall bike plan. So in the overall bike plan might say, hey, it still makes sense to have, bicycling infrastructure on Church Street in addition to going by the river. So, or it might say, you know what, by the river is good enough to get us in that room. So,
Just, I understand, the idea is to give people a chance to ride their bikes onto the new, greenway, correct? So again, I'm asking, when is it forecast for the greenway to open?
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that question. Did you
Okay.
wanna answer that?
No, I was gonna talk a little bit about the bike, master plan that we're working on. For years,
Why don't you stand up so everyone can see?
for years, so for years, you know, we've been working on getting the greenway, finished, and you're asking about a time, time for, and I don't have it. We finished phase one, we're working on, get the phases. Can you speak up? We're working on the second phase now. Sorry, I know I'm not a loudspeaker. We're working on a phase now. We've gotten all the approvals needed. We're literally waiting for the approval letter to come in the mail so that we can put shovels in the ground. Concurrently, we've started working on the third phase, which is just started working on. Trying to draw up a plan. We'll need easements to go through private property to allow that to happen. So there's negotiations involved in that. I can't put a timeline to that. And then once some of that is solidified, we'll ask our engineer to come up with the design so that we can price it out and put the funding in our capital budget. There's a ton of support for it. There's more than anything else, I can think of in this town. It's a much supported initiative. There's all kinds of focus. Probably doesn't feel like it from the outside, but there are a lot of us working hard on completing this every single day. I was so excited when I first learned about the Greenway. My kids were little. I was very, well, not that little, but younger. Excited for them to be able to bike from the middle school into downtown Maplewood. We're still working on it. So I get everybody's feelings about the timing. I can honestly say that there's real genuine work going on to accomplish that. That is the goal. At the same time, now, we have engaged with a planner who specializes in bike planning, a master plan, to develop a master plan for the city. We kicked that off for the municipality. We're in the early phase of that. So when Councilwoman Jones says survey, it's really a master plan that we're developing. A survey is the first part of that. That's the part of the information gathering. It's just step one of the information gathering. We expect to have a plan to vet with the public in much larger, gatherings than this. There'll be several town halls because there's going to be a lot of discussion on it, because I can tell you, everybody loves a bike lane until it's on their street. Like that's for sure. But bike lanes are a good thing. We all know that. So when these traffic engineers and city planners come to us after they've done all of the data gathering and research and say, this is what we're recommending, we're going to start vetting that. We're going to vet it with all of our professionals, and we're going to vet it with the public. And then as Mr. Vitale said, as soon as, when that is actually adopted, that really helps all of us working for you every day, because we have a plan to follow, as opposed to looking at each individual road and then, doing all the work we'll know. But the main objective of a good bike master plan will be to establish some good north, south, east, west connections. So yeah, we have, because we share a school district, we have a vested interest in connecting to Maplewood, of course, right? But it's larger than that. There, people who bike are going to Newark, they're going to Irvington, they're going to Orange, they're going into Livingston. So it's north, south, east, west. And so, looking at viable connections. I can't even begin to tell you yet, but having worked on just this and the one on Montrose, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Road width is a really important one. Parking, the ability to park, and the need for parking is another one. Traffic counts, and a lot of our streets are county roads. Don't forget that. So they're not necessarily in our control. So all of these factors, crash reports, traffic, all that makes an effect. So that is the larger part, I think, toward your question, the umbrella that we are working on simultaneously to all of this. Greenway way predates that work, but I don't think there's any question that everybody believes the Greenway is a huge goal of this community, and it will be very beneficial to this community.
Can you just answer if there's a contractual deadline for this consultant to deliver this report?
2020, it will have something in 2026. I feel very.
Well, why the focus on Church Street now? Because you have the money for the road
To
improvement?
be clear,
there's a lot of people who live in, is it okay if I'm speaking? I don't know, who live in this community. There are advocates for this. We were looking at Church Street. We know Church Street needs traffic calming and we know Church Street needs paving. No question, complete agreement, really, as do a lot of our streets, really high on the list in terms of priority for those things. But there's also a group of people who have asked for us to investigate a dedicated bike lane on Church Street. And because we're public servants, we were asked to look at it, so we looked at it. Their focus maybe isn't the right word, but we were asked to look at it. And this is the only possible way to get a bike lane, a dedicated bike lane on Church Street.
Also as part of our master plan, our goal is to look at every street. So as streets are being redone, we are supposed to look at that street to have some sort of pedestrian safety. And I want to thank Ms. Black, who actually mentioned, bike lanes do create traffic calming, right? Again, some people don't want it on their streets, but you shook your head in front of me. You got a nice hat on, right? So,
There are 2 more rows.
Yes.
There's not only 2 more rows, there's also people online, so we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna pop up just this nice young lady. Your 2 minutes.
Yeah, I got it. So Maria Eberline, I'm 1725 Village Station West. I'm on the board of our condo. I was one of the unfortunate people who got hit with my son crossing Bridgewood. So, and as soon as that happened, Gina Collum reached out to me and was like, hey, we're having a meeting. We're gonna put a 3-way stop right at that stop sign on Bridgewood. So I was really grateful for that. So like our community has been really good about being responsive to safety. I believe my 2 questions are, and maybe you can talk about this because we're talking about like traffic movement. Has there been any more discussion about putting a 3-way stop at 3rd and Ridgewood? And also what's being done to control the traffic? There's a sign at the edge of Church Street that says no left-hand turns onto South Orange Avenue from 4 to 7 that never gets like paid attention to. So I'm just wondering, what are we doing? Like, cause I come home, I work in Newark, I come home and I live on Church Street. So I'm coming to make a left-hand turn onto my street to my residence. And there are people constantly cutting me off to make left-hand turns on, and they shouldn't be like during those hours. So I want to know what's being done to get those people, like, are we monitoring that? Cause that is a posted sign. Like, is that one of those signs that we can put up but can't, enforce? And also, have we talked about the 3-way stop from Ridgewood? Because I feel like that is also part of the traffic easement conversation, right? Those are my questions.
We're gonna move to, before you answer, we're gonna move to the 4th row and then we'll answer her question with the 4th row people. She didn't ask a question.
I didn't hear my response on mid-block.
That was actually answered with this young lady's
So will
question.
concept 1 also include that?
No, he mentioned at the.
The 4th row, 4th row.
Yeah, we're moving to the 4th row. Is there anyone on the 4th row that has questions? You 3 know, and then, sir?
My name is Doug Goff. I also live 3140 on Church Street. I have a couple of comments about cycling. I'm also a cyclist, but I also, before my time expires, I want to ask, have they thought about traffic calming devices like we have on Scotland Road that can be used to slow the traffic down? Because in my review, a lot of the reports say that traffic calming is actually better than a bike lane if it's not separated, because the purpose is to give the drivers and the cyclists more time to act or react. So traffic calming devices with concept 1 would be cheaper, more efficient, and would also be safer. But in terms of the cycling, my understanding is you're looking at 3 sets of people who will be cycling during rush hour. One would be the commuters who are coming down Ridgewood, and I just tested it on an old bike and I got to about 19 miles an hour at the bottom of 3rd Street. There's no way anybody, especially when it's wet, is going to turn left on Church Street with all the traffic, they'll go to Sloane Street. So that takes out those cyclists. There's no, I'd like to know how many children come from Maplewood that would go on the Greenway, and also go on Church Street, because I know Gaslight Commons is a great transit village development. There are no children living there because you guys approved it 20 years ago because it's a great transit village. I don't know about the Muse, but I assume there aren't that many kids. I'm guessing there may be 20% or 25% of the South Orange Middle School children that live in Maplewood. So I'd like to know how many of those children are actually going to be cycling through the Greenway on 3rd Street and then turn on Church. My guess is it's going to be extremely few. The last are what I would consider the joyriders, people who ride on the weekends or during the middle of the week. I just did a really informal analysis 2 Sundays ago. For 15 minutes, I was sitting out between 5:01 and 1:10 on Church Street. There was 1 car a minute that rode on Church Street and 1 cyclist. So the purpose of having the bike lane.
For seconds, I gave you 10, I'm gonna give you 3 more seconds.
There's no reason to have a bike lane because people aren't going to use it. It's a safer street, and if the cars are driving slowly, especially on a Sunday afternoon, why would you go through that whole?
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone else on that row, on the whole row, that has questions or discussion? Okay, thank you.
I do.
Hi.
Steve Voice, 10 North Ridgewood. There's a bunch of us back here, with rows here.
So we can skip that row is what you're saying.
No. Saying that.
It's okay, go ahead.
You want to hear us because
I always want to hear you, go ahead.
we're on Church Street. We park our cars now in the parking lot on the corner of Church and South Orange Avenue. So we have to get in and out of there. So you don't want a one-way street there because half the time, I would say people are turning left out of that lot, going over to 3rd Street and going in that direction. And if you have to come out on South Orange Avenue and you can only make a right turn, I mean, safely, you can only make a right turn. You're gonna be in the middle of South Orange before you can turn around and go in the other direction. So we need to be able to get in and out of that street. And we're not speeding because we're there every day. We can see what it's like and we're careful when we drive through there. So I just want to say this. South Orange Avenue is bad enough now. If you make everybody come out of Church Street in one direction and go on South Orange Avenue, it's going to be even worse in terms of the traffic that's going to pile up there.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in that row that has questions or discussion items? All right, so, no, we're not in the back yet. This 4th row. So, there was a question of, the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Believe it, I never actually knew that sign was there, just.
Right, no one does.
How do we
Everyone
enforce,
ignores it.
how do we enforce that, and do we enforce that?
So as far as that sign goes, that sign predates me being here.
It's been there.
It's been there for quite some time.
If we can all keep it down, there's also people online that have to hear the answer. Again, there's
It's
at
been
least
there,
20 people online.
it's been there for quite some time, that sign. Like I said, it predates myself. And it's there for the purpose of the traffic. I'm assuming it was placed there for the traffic, the volume of traffic there. Now, as far as the enforcement aspect of it, I have to look into the actual ordinance that would read that to see if we stopped enforcing because it wasn't or if it is. It's one of those things we have to look at.
Got it.
Before I can give you a definitive answer. If you want, I can get your contact information.
We'll love it.
And when I look at that, I can share that.
Because I've had words with people like cutting me off to make a left-hand turn when I'm trying to get home, and I'm like, you're not even supposed to be turning. at
Okay,
this
right.
So then the next thing is, the control for traffic on 3rd and Ridgewood, have we, where are we on that?
Yeah, let me take that. So we're in the middle of doing a traffic signal warrant analysis at that intersection. We literally just did traffic counts last week.
Okay.
And our sub vendor is starting to prepare a report and analyze the data. So whether we do a traffic signal there or something else, I honestly, just based on my experience, I do not think a 3-way stop would be would be useful there. It would have to be a signal. If the signal warrant analysis comes back and says there's enough traffic to warrant it, because when you do a traffic signal warrant analysis, you have to do a very detailed study and you have to get state approval. So NJDOT can come to us and say, you can't do it. Right? It is frankly, in my view, awfully close to South Ridgewood and South Orange Avenue. And you also have the blinking light at Walton and South Ridgewood. So I don't know if it's gonna be warrantable, but we have a vendor looking at it. And that will answer your question, hopefully within the month.
Thank you.
And I know that's a question that people have been asking for since before my time, so.
Even when I ran for it. Yeah. And then the other question was traffic calming devices to slow down traffic, but based on the reports, it's only 27 and 25, so I don't know if there's not a need to seemingly right now to slow down traffic.
Yeah,
there is a need to
I can
create.
answer that a little bit
Go
more
ahead.
thoroughly, if you want. So as Jose was saying earlier, they've done a traffic study out there. I think they've done a few over the years. The most recent traffic study shows that the 85th percentile of vehicles are going 27 miles an hour in one direction and 25 in the other. So. But the way traffic engineering is done, we look at the 85th percentile. So there's no, according to the traffic study, there's no reason to have any kind of mitigation devices. That said, whenever I do a design project, I'm always looking at implementing things that will slow people down because I don't generally trust the traffic studies. And
Yeah.
and because it's, well, I don't trust it because you guys are living out there, you're seeing the cars. Now, I understand that if you're standing on the side of the road, you're a pedestrian, and a car passes you doing 20, that's really fast to you. And you may think they're speeding, but they're obeying the law. So there's a difference between reality and perception and reality. So I always look at ways to slow traffic down, to add pedestrian calming. That's why we always look at doing pedestrian bump outs at intersections. That's why we always look at improving the roadway striping. Right now, there's really no striping at all on Church. It's so beat up, and I'm sure people are driving around the potholes. Once it's newly paved, there'll be proper stripes that tend to slow people down because it gives you a visual narrowing. Even if the lane isn't any narrower physically, visually seeing a stripe to your left and a curb to your right slows you down. So those kinds of traffic of mitigations are part of the plan. They're part of any project I do. Everything we do is we look at complete streets design. But when you're talking about something like speed humps or chicanes or the traffic study just doesn't support that. And I would also go so far as to say, I never recommend speed humps because frankly, they're not effective. I've worked in many towns where I have seen cars speed up to the hump, they slam on their brakes, they go over the hump, and then they rev the engine to the next hump.
Sometimes they jump it like Dukes of Hazzard.
Sometimes they jump it like, frankly, in a car like mine, I don't even notice in a Subaru Outback the speed humps on Scotland. Don't even notice.
High Street.
Okay, we're gonna,
So.
the only other, it was a question, but I don't know if it was a real question that you want us to answer tonight, which is how many Maplewood students are gonna ride their bikes across. We'll find out how many actually go to the schools, if that helps. As they said in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. I know it's he will come, but if they build it, they will come. The purpose is people want to see bike lanes so that they can travel along them. So, you might see more people on your street because there is a bike lane and they don't feel safe on the streets that don't have bike lanes. We're gonna move to the.
Traffic, there would be no need for it, but.
Right, so we're gonna move to the last row, and then we're gonna move to the 20 people that are on the phone, so we're gonna try to move a little bit.
I'll be very brief.
You have 2 minutes either. way.
Richard Kalish, 10 North Ridgewood, have a comment and a question. The comment is really just echoing what Steve Weiss said about the traffic. My main concern is about Church Street becoming a one-way street and all of that traffic coming right off of Church onto South Orange. Mornings and particularly evenings is just pure gridlock. And the traffic isn't just onto South Orange, it backs up. I live right at the intersection of North Ridgewood and South Orange. And there's human nature being what it is. people block the box and it's just pure gridlock that backs all the way up there. So it isn't just, it goes beyond just that. As well as Elise said about just our concerns with being trapped in our parking lot, just not being able to get out, and then we would all have to move out of, add to the South Orange traffic to get back to Sloan Street or however it is we would make our escapes from South Orange. The question I have, maybe it's obvious to everybody else, but it isn't to me. Once a bicycle comes off of Church Street onto South Orange, how does that bike cross to get to onto the other side? So I would like to, if that's the thought out with an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone up on that row that has a question starting over here? Oh, we're gonna move left to right. So is there, okay,
I'm Mary Boyd. Tenants Association, 10 North Ridgewood Road.
okay.
I'll just echo with Steve Lee.
Can you repeat? You said Boyer, right? Mary Boyer?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I
I'm
heard you.
just echoing what Steve, Elise, Rich, and the people in the back row said, about the gravel parking lot and us getting our cars out of there. That's gonna be a traffic hour, absolutely horrendous getting in and out. So I wanna talk just briefly about the traffic study that you said was posted online. And I'm wondering if you can put some language along with that, just to help people who are not at the meeting understand what drove you to the decision to make Church Street one way. The second part of that is, it's my understanding that from Third to Church North is what the proposal is for one way. Is that correct?
North, yeah.
Not-
Yeah, north.
South.
Talking about northbound.
Okay, no, the south part, Third to South. That's at the end of that street, that's where the 23 townhome units are going.
Right, the LLC.
Okay, is that driving your decision also? To make that two-way, cause
Not at
how
all.
do you know what entrance those townhomes are gonna use?
It just went before planning. it was not driving our decision. I'm not
You don't
sure
know
at
of
the
any-
planning
The
board.
only other entrance I know of would be the entrance to, and if you're South Orangers, you'll know, is the entrance to the dump.
Yeah,
That's the only.
it's not it's off of Church. It's off the entrance. Is off of Church Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming they drive up in there. If you want, you guys can go on to the planning board documents and look at it. You should always be looking at it, especially amongst,
Okay.
but it is on the planning board documents.
It is a direct, it's off of Church Street, a curb cut from Church Street into the development.
Sir,
Yes, my name's Peter Boyer. I'm at 10 North Ridgewood Road too.
are you guys related? Are you guys related? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, I've lived in South Orange since 1988 and then moved away after I retired for 5 years. Now I'm back again. I'm in 10 North Ridgewood Road. I just want to make a suggestion. You probably might agree with me. Just make it a dead end at South Orange Avenue. Circle there for people to turn around. And the railroad has their entrance on South Orange Avenue, and you can just make it a dead end and have, get the bike lanes, much cheaper. I don't know. But it's just a thought.
Okay, is there some? Go ahead, sir.
So, first of all, Sergeant, you said 85% of the people.
Can you say your name and your
Arthur
address?
Young, I own 29, 52, 54, 59 Church Street. I live at 338 West End now in South Orange. I moved in 2001. So you said 85% drive 25 miles an hour. What about those 15%? That's who you see. That's who drives all the way down the road, and for some reason they burn their brakes. So that's one thing about what happens on that street. Number two, with regards to the bike lanes, in a lot of towns, they've had to put barriers up because of the cars. Because the cars and the bikes don't coexist. But the other thing that I'm concerned about when it comes to biking, because I have bikes, but I haven't ridden them since I moved to South Orange, and it has to do with, number one, it's frightening, but number two, the hills. So you talk, if the kids who live where I live now, 338 West End Road, they call it the goat herder neighborhood. Because I mean, you really build up your cardio going from the train station home if you're walking. Biking, you have to get off, most people have to get off the bikes, even kids. Going down real fast, and that's dangerous. I don't see that many kids in our town at the middle school and at the high school. I see them walking, very few driving. So I think this is really nice thing here. It's beautiful, but I'll tell you, and what are you gonna do with the electric bikes? The electric bikes and the electric scooters with regular bikes, you think that's safe? And then, and people walking, you're gonna do that too? I think it's bizarre, quite frankly. That's.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in that row? Did you have a question? Did you want to ask?
My name is Kate Rambo, 2640 Church Street. This is Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Sorry that she's been talking.
She's gonna be riding that bike soon to church.
Hopefully, yes. I just want to echo the comments that have been made about the desire to keep Church Street two-way. Understand and respect. We're looking to solve the connection. I come from Boston, where we have the Greenway, and I know how important and how impactful that is for a city, and I understand the impact that that one block is gonna make on these two communities, and I respect it. But my daughter, my dog, and I live on Church Street, and a lot of the rest of us live on Church Street, and we still have to be able to navigate town. And be able to enjoy everything that is South Orange and Maplewood without sitting in traffic for a half an hour to go literally 3 blocks at 5 p.m. And so that's one. And two, don't forget the dogs. We have a lot of dogs on Church Street, and we gotta slow down so we don't hit the dogs. I've seen 2 dogs sick.
Oh, no.
Oh, and the bike.
All right, thank you. So from that last row, there were 2 questions that I got out of that, which was how do people cross South Orange Avenue? I thought there was a crosswalk there. And then, but.
Bicycle get to the Causeway, share.
Stop, they're supposed to follow the path, so they should stop at the.
So yeah, I mean, a bicyclist under the law, under state law, a bicyclist is a vehicle. They're supposed to be in the vehicle lane. When Church Street ends, in either concept, it doesn't really matter. When Church Street ends, they're on South Orange Avenue. Legally, they can be in the lane on South Orange Avenue, they can drive down South Orange Avenue, and they can cross the causeway. Intelligently, they're gonna go on the sidewalk. They're either gonna cross right there at the Learning Center, or they're gonna go down and use the other crosswalk at Friendship Park. So, you know, I would hope that anybody on a bike would be walking their bike and using the crosswalk, but that's how they would do it. That's how they would do it right now.
So the last one before we move to people that are on the phone online, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm on the phone. Is Mr. Battaglia, why one way? Where did that thinking come from?
So.
And if you could do it in 2 minutes or less.
The thinking was not, and I think the question was, what was the traffic study that supported the one way? The thinking for the one way didn't come from a traffic study. The thinking for the one way was purely geometric. The roadway is a certain amount of, it's 27 feet wide. You need 10 feet for a vehicle lane. You need 10 feet minimum, preferably wider, but 10 feet minimum for a 2-way bike lane. So in 27 feet on that road, you can feasibly do a 10-foot wide bike lane that goes 2 directions, a 10-foot single direction lane, and then you have to have a 7-foot parking lane. There must be a parking lane because there are people on Church Street who do not have off-street parking. So whereas normally my recommendation would have been get rid of the parking lane, and Ed Moore, living over in West Montrose, can attest to the fact that there is no longer parking on West Montrose. I can't do that here. I need to keep the parking lane. So the only option was to do a one-way. Then the question becomes, is it a one-way northbound or southbound? I frankly don't want to be driving even more traffic to the 3rd and Ridgewood light. So northbound made more sense. And that's the answer to that. Were there others?
No.
Okay, so, no, those were the only two questions. We're gonna move to the people online. For anyone that's online that would like to speak, I need you to raise your hand in the box and I will call you one by one. It's set up as a webinar, so I'm gonna ask you to, when I call your name, I'm gonna ask you to, unmute. Thank you. Oh my God, good Lord. To unmute. All right, so Juliana Garefa, I am so sorry if I butcher anyone's names. Juliana Garefa, if you can unmute and put your screen on.
Yes. Hi there. So my name is Juliana Garefa. I live at 39 Muse Lane and I serve on the South Orange Environmental Commission. Even as a Village Muse resident, I'm happy for the Greenway to bisect the Muse parking lot eventually.
Can you hold it for 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Juliana.
Can I restart my time?
Yes, you can. Andrew, does that go any higher or no?
That's about.
That's it? Okay, I'm kind of deaf, I guess.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Juliana.
Okay.
Oh.
So I live at 39 Muse Lane and I serve on the South Orange Environmental Commission. Even as a Village Muse resident, I'm happy for the Greenway to bisect the Muse parking lot eventually because I think encouraging environmentally friendly transportation is that important for our community as a whole. Since that could be many years away, though, I do support formal bike lanes on Church Street. I wholeheartedly empathize with traffic congestion concerns people have raised. I know this would not be an easy adjustment. Reorienting our daily lives to be less car-centric takes time, and in the short term, it may feel inconvenient. But we have to take steps toward this goal when we have the opportunity. And given that South Orange has grant funding to pave Church Street, this seems like the right time to formalize bike lanes there. My husband and I personally don't own a car at all, and we're able to rely on transit, biking, and walking for nearly all of our needs. Do we occasionally need to Uber? Yes. I'm not suggesting that living car-free is convenient or even realistic for everyone with the infrastructure that we have today. But if we keep building toward a less car-centric future, more and more daily activities can rely less on cars, and over time, the congestion that we worry about today will dissipate. Communities across the country have found that when they add protected bike lanes, safety improves for everyone, downtown businesses benefit from more foot traffic, and car congestion actually decreases as more short trips shift to biking or walking. In the long run, this will make our downtown stronger, safer, and greener. As our 2021 Village Master Plan said, if South Orange becomes a place where walking and biking are the most safe and efficient way of getting from point A to B for most residents, then this could easily become the preferred means for getting around. So let's not miss this chance to bring that vision to life. Thank you very much, and I just want to also reiterate that I do very much respect the discourse that has happened, even if I may disagree with some of the people who have spoken here today. I do wholly empathize with their concerns.
Thank you. Just to remind everyone that's on the call, in case you joined a little later, the time limit for this meeting is 2 minutes. We're gonna go to Ben Vitale. If you're already on the screen, but if you can unmute yourself and your 2 minutes will start as soon as you say your name.
Ben Vitale, 331 Terrell Avenue in South Orange. Yeah, I agree with Juliana that we've got to move away from car-centric planning in South Orange. I think we're 30 years or so behind other municipalities in the country, including some of our peers. As she says, if we, embrace less car-oriented planning, we'll be able to dig ourselves out of this mess. And if we don't, it's just going to get worse. It's not to say that we won't have any cars. Lots of people, anyone who wants to drive can drive, but we want to make it so that people who, want to use alternatives can free up the road space for everybody else who does want to drive. Just some responses. First of all, about speed humps on Scotland, I also drive a Subaru Outback. The research is very clear. It saves children's lives. A lot of very skilled traffic engineers no more nor less skilled than Mr. Battaglia, decided to put those speed humps on Scotland, and they work, and I think they're great. Helps me cross the road too, as well as my children. The notion that we have bike lanes that make things less safe is absurd. The research is very clear, as Ms. Flatz said, they make things safer, they slow traffic, they separate bikes, they reduce the amount of traffic. If you're going to bring a statement like that to a meeting, I think you'd better back it up with evidence, because it's just not true. The hill problem that somebody mentioned, e-bikes take care of that, but let's remember that the Greenway is really a north-south proposition, and so hills don't really play into it. And I think it's very important that we connect the Greenway. I don't really care about one-way street or two-way street. We just need to find a way to connect the Greenway.
Mr. Vitale, time is up.
I
If you
think I
wanna
have
say one
15
last-
seconds left according to my timer, but
No, my timer literally went off in the room, but I can give you one last thought. Go ahead.
just please modernize our town.
Thank you so much. Vince, I only see part of a name, so Vince Fernaldo, maybe? There you are.
Hi, hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Vince. I live at 3141 Church Street. So I am very strongly in favor of keeping the street a two-way for several reasons that have been mentioned on this call. You're talking about a huge parking lot of commuters who would have to leave that parking lot during rush hours, and would have to all be pushed onto South Orange Avenue, which is wild. You have the Renaissance Common building on Renaissance and South Orange of several people who own cars and park on that parking lot, who would now have to drive south over to 3rd up through North on Church Street. And the comments of modernizing this town, modernizing to a place of bikes and no cars, really needs to be thought of twice. This isn't Manhattan. This isn't San Francisco. This isn't Boston. This is a suburb of people, with the vast majority of people who have cars. So I just think those comments need to be made in slightly more context. I'm in favor of people using bikes. I'm in favor of walking. But the comments that this needs to be modernized to less car-centric thinking is absolutely absurd. This is not a metropolitan area. So for those reasons I said, most importantly, the ones that I said in the beginning of the vast majority of traffic on South Orange Avenue and the headache that this will cause residents in the area is very high. The last thing that I'll say is that I believe solutions such as the shared lanes of cars and bikes is a great idea that was mentioned earlier. And in addition, greenways, you have traffic coming in from the north and the south of Church Street. They wouldn't be entering Church Street bikes would not be entering Church Street at high velocity. It's not like they would be coming in fast through another greenway and need to continue on a fast pace. Bikes can slow down and share the traffic with the cars. So that summarizes Thank you, bye.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to Josh Wilkinson, but before we do that, can you say your quote again? I just want to make sure that we are there are people that are for bike lanes, there are people that are against bike lanes. Yeah, the Jane Jacobs. People have their opinions. We want to try to be as hospitable to our neighbors as possible. Some people are strong in it. Go ahead, hit it.
Great. Cities and towns have the capacity of providing something for everyone, only because and only when they are created by everyone.
Awesome, thank you.
Jane Jacobs.
Josh Wilkinson, if you can unmute yourself and show yourself, please.
Yes, hello, thank you. I'm on my phone, so hopefully this picture of myself will do. I'm not able to get video at the moment, but hello, Josh Wilkinson, 319 Lenox Avenue. I have a few comments. I guess first, I hadn't come to this meeting anticipating to make a statement, but I was disturbed at some of the public comments about racing to the train. I know these aren't the words of the engineer or the words of the town, but I just wanted to say I hope we're not making infrastructure decisions going forward accepting dangerous driving, and instead hope that we're seeking to reduce dangerous driving by all measures necessary, including traffic calming and bike lanes. Regarding bike lanes, there was another comment recently about not seeing very many kids biking today. I heard a quote once that I thought was applicable to this situation, which is that you cannot measure a demand for a bridge by counting the people swimming across a river. And so I hope we think about that as we're thinking about bike lanes. Secondly, I was surprised to hear us speaking sort of conceptually about places like Montclair regarding sub 25-mile-per-hour speed limits. As a resident of Lenox Avenue between Ridgewood and Wyoming, we have a 15-mile-per-hour zone on Ridgewood. These are typically white signs, so I'm curious if we're saying that these signs are unenforceable. That would be news to me. And then last point, just want to echo the points others have made about Third and Ridgewood and some sort of traffic control situation being necessary there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to have traffic respond to that 15-mile-per-hour on?
Is there 15-mile-per-hour?
There are 15-mile-per-hour signs on South Ridgewood that are not enforceable.
Good to know.
Okay, so that was your answer, Mr. Wilkinson. They are not enforceable. I'm gonna make this announcement one more time. So right now there are two people, if you guys can just keep it down, there are two people that are left on the phone that, oh my God. I'm live. You would think I'm not in IT, right? Is that what it is? It's not, okay. If there are more people, please raise your hands now. If not, we will close after these two people. So Ms. Miller, if you can come on screen and unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So I mean, I'm certainly a neighborhood advocate, and so I definitely believe in the lived experience of people who live on the street, and I appreciate all of them coming and sharing their experiences. I'm a resident of Academy Heights, and so I sort of wanted to speak to how neighbors in my neighborhood would utilize the area. And many of our children attend Psalms and actually traverse that way to get to middle school. I have now he's a high schooler, but he biked to middle school all 3 years. My son, he uses his bike to, meet up with his friends, to go to the Baird. He's on the swim team. He goes to the South Orange pool, and it's an incredible amount of autonomy to give to our young people to be able to ride their bikes. And so I'm a firm believer in doing that safely. I'm also a bike bus parent, and I'm a commuter, and I walk along Valley, and I have to say, on the bike bus days, I see a lot of excited kids. And I have to tell you, this year, I see more kids biking to school. So we are building that, we're building that community, and we need to back it up with the infrastructure. I also I have friends with toddlers, and as I'm commuting, I see them biking their kids to daycare. So, people aren't just going to one location or coming from one location. We're all sort of crisscrossing towns in our own little journeys every day. And I just wanted to reiterate that bikes reduce traffic. They're also easier to park. And I lived in Brooklyn when bike lanes were being considered. And, it's a conversation, but, we'll get there. It's change. So thank you.
Thank you. We have we're going to close out comments at the last two people. No one else raised their hand, just as an FYI. So Michelle is going to go first, and then John Specky will go next. So Michelle, if you can unmute yourself and show yourself. That's be a much better way to say that, but reveal yourself.
Hi, are you able to see me and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi, my name is Michelle Grossman. I live at 13 Church Street. I personally am a strong advocate for pedestrian safety and bike safety. Just when I was in middle school, my brother was hit by a car, and he was very lucky to have survived that. But I do feel always in my heart that that has to come first. But I also live on Church Street, and my neighbors and I all find Church Street extremely difficult to navigate from a traffic perspective around the hours of, say, 4 to 6 to 7 p.m. If Church Street were to go one way for all of us, it would probably add between 5 and 10 minutes to our day every day for if the traffic was directed in a one-way direction. And it's just not tolerable. My husband and I spoke about it, and we literally said if that were to happen, we would move, because it really is so challenging already. If traffic was funneled just in one single direction, it just wouldn't be a viable alternative for us to stay in this neighborhood. That's how bad it is. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. John Speck, if you can unmute yourself and reveal yourself. There you are.
Hello, friends. Hello, neighbors. I'm actually a Maplewood resident. I hope you don't mind me joining in,
No
but
problem.
I'm passionate about the cause. I also ride to South Orange Station 4 days a week because it's more convenient from where we are. So I do see like all the cyclists that ride and use those racks. It's definitely, just a happy thing. I'd love to see my neighbors riding bikes, doing what's green. We have a bike lane coming in on the street that I live on, and they're putting in sharrows. I'm never going to use this street. I'm always going to go on the sidewalk. It's just not safe. So I'm just saying that point blank. When we ride the kids to school, we go on an alternate route on Garfield Place that has speed humps, because drivers actually do slow down for speed humps. They're not going to slow down even on the Parker bike lane that they're putting in. I have a trouble trusting that they're going to slow down as much as they would with a speed hump. So that's my 2 cents. I'd love to see the Greenway go through. I think riding bikes around these two towns is awesome, and I see more and more people doing it all the time. Glad to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. All right, so it was for me, right? That you guys clapped. You have to, you have to have.
I just want to say that I don't advocate people riding on the sidewalk. I'll tell you why. Because I treat a lot of people in your site, and the last thing you want to have is a member of your family have a traumatic brain injury. And I've seen too many accidents of people getting hit on the sidewalk. Yeah. And it's one of the things that the chief and I traffic are going to talk about in terms of like really providing some kind of education around safe biking. It's not a good idea to be riding on the sidewalk. For the people who have problems, limitations in walking, they can't get out of the way fast enough. Mm-hmm. And I've seen totally mobile people get hit. Mm-hmm. And I myself have almost been hit several times. So I don't advocate.
Council member actually got hit by
yes, I don't advocate riding on the sidewalk. Okay. Please don't.
Excuse me, is it possible to just ask one on this question?
We close that public. Okay. But you can ask us after. Okay, so we're gonna go through just the timeline for church. Look, it stopped me from talking, right? The timeline for church, and then we're gonna adjourn.
So specific to the construction, road construction on Church Street, we're looking to award the contract by October 27th.
Will the decision about which option you're gonna choose be made before that?
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, it'll be made very quickly.
And we're gonna let her finish.
Okay. So that I think is the main concern here tonight. So in terms of the timeline, there's the other projects that I know there were some questions that were emailed to us about the other projects going on there. The larger one, which is 22 units, I believe, which is the one directly on Church Street. That's through planning board. It has their planning board approval. They are in the process of revising their site plans to adhere to the compliance report issued by the planning board, and then they'll be able to apply for permits. And so given what I know, you never know what's going to happen once somebody gets a planning board approvals. All kinds of things happen that can delay a project. Given what I know about this one, I would think you can expect to see construction start in the spring. And then the other 58, which is the corner of Third, it was an industrial use, and now it'll be three homes. That hasn't even gone before the planning board yet. So I would think, and we do work very hard to coordinate with any developers and our own work so that things are happening one at a time, not 2 or 3 at once. We would probably we would ask the planning board to make their approval of the second 158 conditional upon timing, that they're not trying to build there at the same time, unless it's all site contained, you know, as the one across the street. So that's the general timing. So this road will be finished before the other two construction projects begin.
We're gonna close up. I want to ask my council members if they wanted to, my other chairs, if you guys wanted to say anything 1 minute or less, and then we're gonna give the date. And if you guys have questions after, you can grab people, but we want to go home as well.
So the one thing is, I think, to clarify the timing of the council decision specific to the Church Street repaving project, I think is what folks want to know.
Well, we're gonna award it by the 27th, and that's all I really have for you on that, because it's really not, it's a administrative decision in conference.
It's administrative.
It's an administrative decision in connection with the council. We work very closely together.
So again, this is our first tax meeting. Oh my God, last tax.
Well,
meeting.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and for being, you know, civil and respectful, and for us having this kind of discourse. I mean, we're living in the same town, and we have to work together. So, you know, whatever the outcome is, that we figure out how we're gonna make it work. So thanks again for just being here and for being, you know, participating in what's gonna happen in Alton.
And there'll be more of these meetings. And so our next meeting is January for tax is January 21st. So if you have questions regarding that, you know, by then church will be done. We want to see you, right? We want to hear from you. The purpose of that is we really wanted to hear from the residents and wanted to give them the opportunity.
But because I want to say.
Okay, go ahead.
But Summer, by January 21st, church will not be done.
No, meaning church, the discussion around.
The discussion around
Yeah,
church.
I meant the discussion.
Oh, right, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Right, that's awarding the.
Yeah. The
Awarding-
discussion will be done.
Awarding the contract has to be done by the end of October.
Right.
Construction would be in the spring.
I meant our January meeting wouldn't be focused on church because we would be working on new exciting things. Councilmember Haskins.
Yeah, so, to that point, like, so the decision on what happens on Church Street will be done. But I think it'll be really important for folks like you that live, you know, primarily in apartment type living or condos or something like that on Church Street in our sort of business core. You'll want to continue to follow what's happening in this committee. Because, and I think there's a really important reason, because one of the things that we heard clearly from you guys tonight is that defining your residency on Church Street as being drivers was very strong. And that you asked us to, as a council, to defend yourselves as drivers. And so we're gonna be having that same conversation about the residents of the Gaslight, the Muse, Third and Valley, Fourth and Valley, the new development across from Fourth and Valley, the new development at All Star Motors lot, the 3 apartment buildings being built in Seton Village. So if we are having a conversation in this community where everyone's a driver, everybody get ready. Because it's gonna be tough to drive, it's gonna be tough to walk, and it's gonna be tough to bike. So I would ask us all to really think a lot about this and figure out, what do we want the future to look like?
Okay. We're gonna adjourn this meeting. Thank you guys all very much. For those of you had a question, feel free to come up and then we can.
Well, thank you.
Feel free to look at the. No problem. Feel free to look at the.
I just wanted to
freeway
give you
document
my-
that's on there.
Yes.
I would love